Or it's Sriranjini, ma'am, please kindly share your moments and everything, ma'am. How being your travel and everything, ma'am.
Good morning, all of you. I hope I am audible.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Yes. Okay. I think most of you here know me. I'm architect Sriranjini, and quite a bit of I've worked with a lot of them who are here in this group. I've also been a teacher for a lot of them in this group here. So to tell about where I completed my education, I finished in 2009 with Satyabama University. And I got on to practice immediately after that, where I did very small projects. And it initially started out where I worked in a small firm. I worked on several interior designing projects, and it was a very short span for about 9 months. Where at the end of 9 months, I had to quit because the office was shifting base from here, and they were moving away from the city. I, I wasn't able to travel at that point, so I decided I'll quit, and I started my own firm. And initially, starting out was pretty difficult because uh, I would say the market is flooded with architects who are willing to do things at a much lower cost than what you are going to be quoting. And that way, it was difficult for me to get projects initially. So I started out with something very small. In fact, I remember having scenarios where I had to do something as basic as a logo for smaller companies and all that. That's how journey started. And eventually, it came to a stage where I was able to do projects simultaneously, but I had three teams running with three different projects. Unfortunately, at that point, this the industry was hard hit with the recession. We had this issue of labor, we had this issue of material costs going over the roof, and that was also the time when, in Chennai particularly, we had this issue of power cuts. There was a point when 2 3 hours of power cut was happening every day, and so the industry was hit hard, and number of projects, fresh projects that kept coming in was reducing day by day. So I decided to change track at that point of time, and I said, okay. Anyway, I had been wanting to do a masters for a very long time, right from the time I was doing my UG. So I decided, I'll change track. I'll go do my masters, take a break, do my masters, and then see what how it goes. I didn't give up my practice completely, though. I was involved in to a certain extent on smaller projects. I would be doing small interior projects simultaneously as I was studying, doing my masters. I did my master's in architecture. It was a general course in Meenakshi College in Chennai. And on completion, I was given the opportunity where they called me from the college and they said they offered me a job as an academician there. Uh, I was a little apprehensive at that point, but as the industry hadn't really started picking up, I decided I'll take a dip. I'll see how it goes. But I must say that was probably one of the best decisions I had taken at that point of time, because there's been no turning back beyond that. As I started working as an assistant professor with the college, it's been a journey for the last 4 years. I've been an academician now. I also have my practice simultaneously where I do smaller projects. There are small residences that I work on. I have been working on projects that's got to do with renovations. It's got interior designing, or it's been a complete project as such that happened. So, but one thing I have seen from what I started out as soon as I finished my UG to how far practice has come today is the aspect that the client is a lot more different than what I remember the client to be. The client is much more well informed about what he or she needs, and they're much more well informed in the sense the exposure that they have to the world today. The global connect that people have is so much more that they know exactly what they want. It could be something as maybe for an architect like us, it could be something as ridiculous as I remember a client. It was a renovation project I was doing in Nungampakam in Chennai, and it was a four-bedroom individual house. And the only thing he wanted me to do was he wanted me to change the elevation because his son was studying abroad, and the son said, "I don't want to come back to a house that looks like this." So when this client reached out to me and he said, "Ma'am, I don't want you to change anything, just on the front facade, matro and mati kulunga," he said. Uh, After having worked on two or three options and I took it to him, my client came back with another image. And you won't believe it, it was an image of a Scandinavian elevation. He said, "Ma'am, this is the kind of elevation I want for my residence." I was honestly shocked because two things. I never expected someone in Nungambakam to actually come up with an image of a Scandinavian elevation and say, okay, this is what he wants. But that's the kind of exposure they have. And it's up to us as architects to, kind of sit with them and tell them, this may work or this may not work, or why would something work or why would something not work. uh, that's exactly how clients are in today's scenario. I mean, yes, there have been issues earlier as well, but like I'm mentioning, they're a lot more different because they're a lot more informed and they see so many more things in today's scenario. And apart from this aspect of client, the way we as architects work has also changed. I remember when I was first working on my project, it used to be just paper, pen, pencils, sketches, colors. I remember I used to go outright with my colors and go on scribbling and sketching and all that. I don't remember the last time I did all that for my client now. I sit directly on my system. I go through my previous works. Okay, I know what my client wants. I try picking up from whatever I've already done before. Yes, that's how it works. Because invariably, we architects have this. Uh, I wouldn't say concept. We have this theory where, because we've worked several projects earlier, we try picking up the data from whatever we already worked on. I mean, that's the same scenario that happens when you're a student as well, right? Right from your second year when you're designing individual smaller design. By the time you come to your final year, okay, for a residence, these are the kind of things I need to look at. These are the kind of things I need to look at for a hotel. So you've already got your data that you've studied before, and you try picking it up from there, and you go ahead with your design. And that's exactly what's happening in today's scenario. But today it's a lot more different in the sense you have you have so many softwares that are there to help you out with all this. So many softwares that will help you with all the data that you require. I don't necessarily have to go back to a library, pick up a book, sit down and read and see, okay, these are the data, these are the regulations I need, these are the kind of anthropometrical considerations that I need to do. I have software that will just give me just about everything that I need from the click of my mouse at the comfort of my homes. And I've also noticed the fact that the kind of spaces that we design have changed over the years. Initially, what used to be just a conventional house or a conventional office, as the Litala Solonaka, that line between the two has merged. You've come to a point in design where people want spaces where it's more of, I would not call it BH space anymore. It's called BHO case. They've also got an office space included within their residences. They want a space to work from. They want a space where they can study from. So all this has also changed simultaneously. And offices, on the other hand, have also tried incorporating this aspect of informal office spaces, where within their offices they try to have informal spaces to sit and work. So if you actually see through this journey of the last 10 years that I've been in the industry, right from the factor of how architectural education is being presented, or how students design, or how we as architects design spaces for others, as well as the client, the way the client looks at a project, that's changed drastically. But in spite of all this, I will tell you one more factor. This aspect of climate change, this aspect of green buildings, this aspect of sustainability is something that has come in to the picture maybe in the last 5 years, perhaps I would say. The last 5 6 years has seen tremendous movement towards this aspect of a green building. Even if a client doesn't tell me he wants a green building, he will come forth and say, I want my building in such a way that my residence does not necessarily consume so much of water, necessarily doesn't consume so much of electricity. So, see, because these are all factors where he will be able to save on his financial aspects as well. So, when he comes up with that, well, I mean, that is also because people's understanding has changed with time. They've understood that it's a lot more important to be more environmentally conscious, to do things for their residences as well. That was the point of time when I went in, and I've also done my uh, IGBC lead as well as Griha certifications. So when I've also taken it up on myself to work on research projects that are associated with sustainability and green buildings. So it also helps us as an architect to bring out this whole perspective of what we as an architect can do for the world, for the environment at large. It does take a little extra effort on our part to convince the client to do something, especially because if it's going to be a little more on his pockets, meaning in terms of investment. But in the long, if you're able to convince him and say that in the longer run, these are the beneficial aspects that you will have, then there are a lot of clients who are open to these options in today's scenario. So I would say yes, there has been a lot of change. There is another aspect where a lot of students, a lot of fellow architects ask me, with this onset of factors like artificial intelligence and this onset of softwares, like I was mentioning earlier, what would be the role of an architect going forward into the future? Uh, I'll tell you this. I've got five things that I will definitely say is going to change. The first factor is the basics of how you learn architecture will change, will definitely change. Meaning, someone who is where in your first years and second years you're sitting and sketching. That by itself will slowly start changing as we move into the future. The second factor is we will be seeing more and more of these factors of more and more of parametric architecture is what we call. This will with the onset of softwares like Grasshopper and more of these geometric programmings that we see. Definitely, parametric architecture will be something that we will be seeing more and more in large in the world. The third factor I would say will change is how we construct these buildings, because we've got so many factors like we've got in today's scenario we've got 3D printers, concrete printers, we've got drones that help out in construction by bricklaying. So with the onset of all these technologies as well, construction is going to be will definitely change, wherein your manpower is going to will come to maybe somewhere around 5 to 10% of the whole construction maybe manpower may be required, but it will change at the end of the day. And the fourth factor is we will be seeing more and more of these smart cities, is what we can call it, and how we perceive a smart city to be will definitely change in the future. Similarly, with this onset of artificial intelligence, we will also be seeing this factor of how your our homes change, how much the spaces in a house changes, and but one thing is for sure, we as a professional, the architect as a professional, definitely not be thrown out of jobs if that's what is a concern for a lot of us, for a lot of students in today's scenario. We will definitely not be thrown away, because the factor of having an aspect of psychologically understanding a scenario and coming up with unique solutions for these issues is something that the AI may not be able to at least not in the near future. So definitely, as an architect, we've still got a bright future happening. We will be playing a major role in construction as it goes, though with a little bit of change in how things work as we go forward. Yes, thank you, Vicky, for the opportunity. I hope what I've
Thank
said
you,
made
ma'am.
some.
Yeah, thanks a lot, ma'am. And thanks a lot for your sharing your moments and everything.